Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my October mid-month wrap-up, and it's going to be a fairly short one because I've only read 6 books so far this month. I'm in a bit of a slump, so even the books that I have read, I have not loved any of them. For some reason, I have not found a book that's just gripped me entirely. I am filming this a little early, and Hopeless actually comes out today by Elsie Silver, so once I finish what I'm reading currently, I'm going to be jumping into that right away, and I'm really hoping that's going to pull me out of my slump, or it might put me into a bigger slump, we'll see, but I'm really excited about that one. But without further ado, let's talk about the 6 books I read. Okay, the first book that I read is Horse by Geraldine Brooks. This is a literary fiction book. I guess it's and it's also historical fiction. I just am not a horse girl, and I definitely was not in the mood to be reading or listening to a literary fiction, but my loan came in from the library, and so I felt like I had to read it. This might have been what put me into a slump because it just took me a really long time to get through the audio for this. It was really powerful, the story and everything like that, and I really wish I was in a better headspace to read it because I feel like I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But like, as I was reading it, anytime they talked about horses, I was just like, I don't care about horses. I don't care about horses. I'm just not a horse girl. So it was a little bit of a difficult read for me, but I do think that this one is a really powerful story. Although I don't think the ending was very good because there's something that gets included at the very ending. It just like happens so quickly right at the end. It almost took away from the story a little bit. I'm not gonna spoil it obviously, but it was like overall it was a good book though. I can recognize it was a really good book. I just was not in the mood for it at the time. So I gave it 3.5 stars. The next book that I read is Beautiful Beginning by Christina Lauren. This is the number 3.5, and I actually really liked this one for a novella length book. It followed the wedding of the couple from the first book, and there were so many hijinks and everything that go on between them and the other couples from the other books in it that I just absolutely loved it. I don't always like love novella length stories, or I at least don't always think they were necessary, but this was just such a fun look back at the couple from the first book that I just had a blast reading it, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book that I read was Beyond the Veil by Suzanne Valenti and Carolyn Peckham. This is the like 8.5 book that comes after. It sort of takes place at the same time as the 8th book, but it's like what's happening to the characters who are beyond the veil. And I don't really see how this book was necessary. Maybe it'll make a lot more sense in the 9th book, but for me, I didn't really feel like it was very necessary. And I think actually this is the book that put me into a slump because it took me so long to read for like novella book. Like, it's a 0.5 book. It was over 400 pages, and I'm pretty sure it took me like, I want to say like 10 days to read this, to read 400 pages. I just could not get into the story. Even though I did enjoy like seeing the characters again, I just was like, I just want a conclusion to the story so bad that this was just not a good enough placeholder for me. So I gave it 3.25 stars. Okay, and the last 3 books I actually did a whole reading vlog on, so I'm not going to talk about them too much because I talked about them a lot more in depth, but the first book is Revelry by Candy Steiner, and I did really like this book. Actually, in hindsight and looking back at it, I liked it a lot more now that I've sat with it, but going into it, I really was in the mood to read a fall book, and it's not very fall. It's very much summer, and I just felt like it went way too fast. Like, I think the audio is only like 7 hours, I want to say. Oh no, it's like 9 hours. I don't know. It just felt really fast, felt really like a lot of rush to it, but I do really like how Candy Steiner brings in like really heart-wrenching topics into a beautiful love story. I thought both the characters' lives were just so heart-wrenching, and they were just there for each other. It was really beautiful. So the more I think about it, the more I love it. But I just, I guess, again, because I'm in like a slump, I was just not in the right headspace for it, and I think I would have liked this book a lot more if I was not in my slump. So I gave it 3.75 stars. Then I read The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. So I read The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston as well, and I definitely loved that one way more, so it took me a while to get into the Tech Romantics just because I kept comparing it to the 7-Year Slip. Ashley Poston's writing is actually just so beautiful. I've read both of these books on audio, and I feel like I need to read them physically as well, because you just don't even get the full context of how beautiful some of the quotes and stuff that happen in the book are. And I wish that I could just like annotate it when I'm reading it, because the audiobook just honestly doesn't even do it justice. I know a lot of people recommend the audiobook for these, but I think the physical copy books would actually be better for them. Her stories are just so good at interweaving grief into a story that is so digestible and like still makes you want to constantly be reading it and not want to put the book down, because like most books that intertwine grief, like it does make it heavier, make it harder to pick up at times, but something about Ashley Poston's writing just doesn't do that. It's so easy to read and so heartfelt. I just love that part of her writing, but I do think that her books are kind of predictable, I'm not gonna lie, but it doesn't really bother me that much because it is a romance book, so of course it's gonna be at least slightly predictable. Enough rambling about this book. I give it 4.25 stars. Okay, and last but not least, I read The Canary and Cowards by Jessie Hall, and I gave this book 4.25 stars. This book was just way too long for me, but the characters in it, like specifically her brother, just my heart was so attached to him. Jessie Hall is a fantastic writer, and I will be picking up more books by her in the future, but there was one thing in the book that really bothered me. That was a writing choice that I just felt like didn't need to be there, and I talk about it more in the blog, so if you want to know what I'm talking about, go check out that video, because I'm not going to include it again because it is such a minor thing, but it's something that really bugged me. But other than that, I loved it. Other than the fact that one thing and the fact that it was too long, I absolutely loved it. I really liked the romance. They were definitely soulmates, 100%. They're just like a team. You know what I mean when I'm talking about a romance, that they're like a team? This one is that. And it is a football romance, so if football is fall to you, then this is a fall read. But yeah, I did really like it, and I will be definitely picking up more books by Jessie Hall in the future. Okay, and those are all the books that I've read this month so far. Normally there's a lot more, which it makes it feel more justified to split the video up into two, but the fact that I only read 6 means that either the end of the month wrap up is going to be super long, or it's just going to be a slump reading month for me. Hopefully not. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps support my channel. Subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.